Hi guys, I'm Shmi, and today let's take a look at this, the Mercedes-AMG E43 4MATIC Saloon, limousine, sedan, depending where you're from. The four-door version of the E-Class, but the baby AMG, you could say, the 43 series, sitting below the 63 in AMG's lineup. So they've introduced these 43 series cars with the 3-litre bi-turbo V6. In here, you've got 401 horsepower, 520 Newton meters of torque. That means 0 to 62 miles an hour, 100 kilometers an hour in 4.6 seconds, and a top speed limited to 250 kilometers an hour, 155 miles per hour. From a visual front, it has some AMG styling. So you've got, well, the exhaust, let's talk about those. You've got the twin exhaust on each side, a shaped diffuser to the rear, the AMG badge, AMG specific wheels. We come around towards the front, you have the distinctive AMG front grille, that AMG Sport grille with the sort of bright stars or diamonds or whatever you want to call them inside the grille here, with those central bars across, and again more shaping towards the lower parts of the front splitter as well. So the 43 series basically introduces more sportiness to the drive, but obviously not at the price point of the 63s, which are reaching new levels both in terms of performance but also pricing. So the E63 S, the big brother I suppose to this car, is one amazing machine. I had a lot of fun driving that at Portimao circuit and out on the road as well. But this is the little one, this is the younger brother, this is the slightly boisterous I suppose, rebellious character without necessarily quite so much. So inside, this is finished in a very, very nice set of trim. The paintwork on the car is hyacinth red, which is a colour I really quite like, to be honest. But we've got leather, the red stitching, you can see the carbon inlays and trim. But obviously this car still punches very high. The two very large digital displays that we'll see more of in a second for the instrument cluster and the central entertainment. But everything else, as we know from the E-Class, if you haven't already, perhaps watch my E63 S video where I had a good play around, but with back seats, with comfort, with luxury, with style. Actually quite a lot of space in here. I've put the front seat in my seating position. I can just see now there's an awful lot of room. But with AMG trim, you have things like the floor mats, obviously the wheels, just quite a nice finish to the car. So looks like bikes have arrived. A couple of bikes turning up here in this fairly crazy location I've pulled over to film it today. But let's jump in, start the car up and have a look a little bit more on the inside. So it pings to tell you not to forget the key if you're getting out of the car. So vehicle on, start stop button here. There we go. Let's close the door so it's not beeping at us. And you know what? I'm going to use this opportunity to show you one thing I really like with the Burmester sound system for Mercedes cars. So if I unmute it, there'll be music playing. There we go. See the way that spins out? I just think that is really cool. The music volume is just so quiet, that's why you can't hear it, sorry. But mute it again and it tucks back in. Obviously the air conditioning is blowing hard because it's pretty hot out here, shall we say. But you can see the way the displays come to life, and there's quite a lot of information on show. Being an AMG, you get all sorts of additional information, the AMG display and the likes, but we'll go through more of this after the drive and the configurable settings for the dynamic modes. So let's head out to the road, have a little drive and see what the new E43 4MATIC from AMG is all about. Let's get started then. So gear selector on the right stalk, that's reverse. You have a brilliant 3D map, 360 degree surround vision camera, and the system in here is really good for showing you exactly where you are. Always check as well, of course, and then drive down there. So I haven't spent too much time driving with Mercedes, so I'm not that used to the right hand stalk. On the sportier cars, they have a selector in the center console, but here that's reserved for the media and entertainment controls for the command system. But away we go, and obviously this is the E-Class. It's not the shouty C-Class or the SLC that I've driven before. So it's a bit more towards luxury, refinement, comfort, that side of things. So you can see it pulls away very gently and quietly. There's no intrusive engine noise, even though it's the AMG. Come to to stop for the stop sign, pull away here, but you'll notice as we get to out of this stop sign, you start to get a bit of rasp even in comfort mode like we are right now. So, pull away, there we go, up towards the rev range. But the gearbox, the 9-speed automatic box, obviously shifts seamlessly. They have that sorted completely down to a T. We've got the AMG performance suspension setup, which we'll talk more about as we go through the different driving modes. But cruising along, very gentle, relaxed, quiet, well sound insulated as it should be. The road is pretty smooth though, which does make it a little bit more all-round. But if I pop the dynamic selector up into Sport, we start to get a little bit more lively. So it changes the throttle response, the suspension, the steering, and it could change the ESP mode as well, because being an AMG, you've got the 3-stage ESP, so always on, or sport handling mode, or off, should you desire. I've got a display up at the moment that's actually showing me all of those I've just seen. But sport, if you kick down, it will obviously take the lower gear earlier. I notice as I go around the corner, I've got the seats that give me the support and padding as I go around corners, so as I turn around to the right, the left-hand side pad gets a little bit tougher, so it keeps you more in your seat, which makes the ride a little bit more comfortable in theory. It's a strange sensation, but when you get used to it, it works quite nicely. But pulling along like this, the suspension in the middle setting, there are 3 settings, it's holding pretty nicely, and then I can go one further into Sport Plus, where it drops a gear, there's a bit more noise, over the brow we go, and the car is going to be a little bit more sprightly and playful and fruity, should we say. That's a term I haven't used for a while. Drop the gear manually down to 3rd, down into 2nd, get some nice cracks as well there. Sounds alright up at the top end, but I mean that's not entirely what this car's designed for, is it? I mean, it's a playful characteristic, to the kind of car you can use all the time for every purpose. You have the ability to go into manual permanently or back into full auto, should you wish. But Sport Plus for the road is going to hold a higher gear than you actually kind of are going to want. That's why you'd go back into Sport or Comfort or set up Individual to be exactly how you want it. So from a driving point of view, you've got lots and lots of technical functionality and driver aids. Things like the ability to self-steer itself in the lane for a short period, to warn you if you start crossing the edge of the lanes, the blind spot monitoring, all the digital tech side of things you could imagine through the central control system, loads of configurable displays in front of you, things you can change and set up how you want them exactly, all the seat stuff, the heating, the cooling for the seats, those are controlled by the buttons on the door. What else can you do? You can move the passenger seat from here, from this side, so if you're chauffeuring somebody, there we go. So I was just about to touch the line and the car sort of self-moved us across to avoid it and to not hit the line, which is very bizarre. And technically you can let go and it will keep you in the lane, but that's more to a motorway kind of thing. Now obviously you shouldn't take your hands off the wheel, but it's a cool technology that it works. And in the US, for example, and some other countries, those kind of things are becoming permitted by law, not in the UK yet. So what else can we talk about? Well, driving along like this is just relaxed, and comfy and gentle, and I've got a very straight road in front of me, but right car for this kind of environment, just chilling, enjoying the lovely weather, the drive. The car has a sporty character to it. You know, you get that sense immediately from the sound when you're up towards the top of the rev range. The shift's getting a little bit more aggressive when you're there too, but it still has the practicality and comfort of an E-Class. So whereas before, outside of the very top end, the E63, if you wanted a lower model E-Class, it wouldn't have had that sporty touch. Now, if you so desire, you could have the sporty side of it, or you could have the more luxurious sort of regular Mercedes-Benz models. So it's nice to have, I think, that option. There are a lot of options, but this is a new one into the mix. Cruising along the highway, I'm going to put on adaptive cruise control, set it for the speed limit. Now basically let the car do its thing. So it's got the front distance sensor, so as you come up to a car in front, it will obviously start slowing you down so you're not going to run into the car. But most interestingly, it will keep us in the lane. So we're going around a slight bend. If it was a tighter bend or a shorter bend, it wouldn't really matter. The car is detecting the lines on the road and keeping us safe inside them, which takes away some of the strain, especially from long distance driving. It makes it a little bit more gentle because you're not going to have any crazy last minute swerves from one lane to the next. And one thing I think is really cool is that if you indicate, it can tell you're doing that, and it literally moves you across to the next lane and then straightens you up again, which is just trippy. That is like boggling my mind. And then back we go again. And all this without touching the steering wheel in theory. And then it's going to take us around this corner to the left. Okay, what is this? This is weird. Imagine being, well, I'm sure some of you guys have or do have, but imagine being in a car with full autonomous driving like Teslas with autopilot. And now it's telling me to touch the wheel again, so let's do that before we get in trouble. But it's crazy where this technology is going, especially in here, a car that's fun and sporty to drive, but then does that kind of stuff as well. Anyway, I think it's cool. I know it's a bit quirky and nerdy of me, but driving along, it's gentle, it's calm, it's quiet. The sound system is amazing. The Burmester, it's expensive, but it's amazing. I can't play that, obviously, for copyright reasons of music. The seats are pretty comfortable, nicely supportive. You can configure and change so many parts of them. Cooling, heating, all of that. Yeah, it's a pretty good car all around. Not as exciting as the 63, of course. It's not that shouty boisterousness to that extreme. This is 401 horsepower, that's 610. That is, it's about 3 seconds to 62. I can't remember the exact number. This is 4.6. So it's not competing in the same league, but it's cool that it's an option below. I think it's very, very interesting the way the brand is going. Obviously it means more AMGs on the road, but creating that distinct profile with the AMG GT, they're sort of in-house sports cars at the top, then the mainstream sports cars, if you can call them that, the 63 models, the C, the E, the S, etc., 65s, whatever else you have in that category, and then you have this new entry-level 43 range. Anyway, I'm going to continue to where I'm going, park up, and show you a bit more of what's going on in here. And back to base then. So let me show you around a little bit more about the interior of the E43. We had a quick glance, of course, earlier, but not so much going through the options and configuration of the screen. So the way you can control various parts of this screen is with sort of a touchpad here, the left-hand side, and then there's one on the right-hand side which controls the main interface. So here, for example, if I scroll it up and down, you can see the AMG options at the left-hand side, so G-force sensor, the lap timer, just scrolling through, then your dynamic settings, and you've got a bunch of things that you can go through here, and then there's the home button to take you back into the main menu where you've got a whole lot more you can configure. So you can bring up the normal trip information, for example, and those displays at the left-hand side. There's basically a lot you can go through here. You can bring up some nav stuff and your media, and yeah, I think you get the point. There's a lot you can configure and change. So wait, can we have our navigation on the right hand side? Yeah, there we go, the map on the right and some performance data on the left, for example. Let's go back to the trip computer. Playing away here, head-up display. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that. Yeah, you can there. It's a very good display, shows the speed limit. Obviously navigation instructions would be on the left-hand side of it. And then you've got design, so you can configure and have the whole display looking like that. If I just go closer so you can actually see it. The sport display, a little bit more traditional. Classic, very traditional. Or the progressive, which is the one that we were using just before. Then click to select. So there's a whole lot of stuff you can play with there. Then the navigation screen here, that's controlled with the right hand side. You can sort of swipe it around and go through the menus and settings and stuff, or you can use the system down in the middle to control command and go through all the same sort of bits and pieces in there, and do things like selecting your individual configuration for the dynamic select, or options, settings, climate control, seats, turn on massage, dynamic seat. That's where the side bolsters strengthen when you're on corners, and basically all of that. So there's a whole lot of functionality available through that system. From a practical point of view, you've got the pouch here where you can put the key. He says, where is the key? It's in my pocket. Let me demonstrate this. There's a little sort of compartment in here to store it, just like that, next to the USB plug. 2 cup holders. Actually, let's take that out. And there's NFC or for charging by putting something down on that pad. Then the armrest, big armrest, lots of storage space, SD card and 2 USB ports down there. Not sure if you can see with the light, but no shortage of space. So let's turn it off. There we go. So quiet when it's just idling anyway. Don't forget your key. I won't, I've got it right here. This is the key if you're wondering. New key design. Come around and have a look at some other features, other parts. I'll jump into the back quickly as I go past. Just show you an example of the space. So front seat in my driving position, more than enough room in front of my knees. We've got a cigarette socket and space there. Pouches on the back of the seats, more speakers. Oh, and even heating for the rear seats. That's a nice little thing. Pull down the armrest. Storage bucket on the top, and cup holders at the front. So that would open up if you had a drinks thing to put in it. Okay. Last thing, let's head to the boot. So you've got the lip spoiler with the AMG. You can open this up. Hydraulic, of course. Now I've got a suitcase back here, but it gives you some sort of sense of how far back the boot goes. You can fit a lot of stuff in there. It's a big boot, shall we say. No problem at all. So let's close that back up. I'll need to get out my stuff, of course, but that's a different story. Colour looking lovely in the sunshine. Very, very strong hyacinth thread. But that is a sort of look and some impressions and thoughts and feedback from my side of the E43, the baby AMG as it were. So let me know your thoughts. Is it a real AMG to you? Is the smaller engine, the twin turbo or the bi-turbo V6, still a real AMG? That's the question. To drive, it's got sporty characteristics, it's exciting, but it's not quite the E63 S, obviously. It's 200 horsepower behind. Anyway, it's been fun exploring the car. I hope I've been able to show you some features and some parts and aspects to it and what it's like to be in the E43. Anyway, I'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you again very soon. Cheers!